I recently took myself to PAX Unplugged at the Pennsylvania Convention Center in Philadelphia. PAX always feels like home for me because I know so many people that work or go to PAX. I was a volunteer at PAX for a few years, but this was my first ever PAX Unplugged. It's the only PAX in the States that I haven't been to, and I'm probably never going to make it to PAX Australia. PAX Unplugged is different than other PAX because it doesn't include video games. Instead, PAX Unplugged focuses on board and tabletop games. I hadn't been to a board game con in honestly like a really long time since I went to Gen Con back in 2011, so it was a lot of fun to explore this kind of con again. I had a 3-day badge, but I just stopped by on Friday and Saturday. I was coming to PAX just to play games and see what I could find. I'm always looking for 2-player games that don't have a lot of setup, but still have unique mechanics, because I just have way too many games that either require too many people or just too much setup, and I never play them. And that's always tough because most people don't really come to board game cons to find simple games like that, but I still had some success, and I'll talk more about the games I played later on. On Friday, I got to the con late because of traffic, and honestly, parking was a total nightmare around the convention center. I spent almost all of my day on Friday in the dealer's room. There were so many more games than I was expecting. I had always heard that PAX Unplugged was like a little mini Gen Con, but it really wasn't mini at all. My favorite thing to do at any PAX is just to wander around to find an empty table at a demo for a game that I've never heard of, and then I just sit down and I try it out, even if I know nothing about it. The very first game I sat down and played was Complicated Board Game, the card game. It was pretty simple, and it had some really fun mechanics. Plus, it was made by Offcut Games, and I'm friends with one of the creators, who is a fellow former PAX volunteer. They just recently finished on Kickstarter, and I'll link them in the description below. Then I played Fog of Love, a 2-player romantic comedy board game. You and another player go on dates and have experiences together like a real couple. In the first round, you're trying to get to know them and their personality, but as time goes on, you realize that certain destinies won't happen, and it's nothing but drama. And in the final round, you could end up together, or you could end up breaking each other's heart. It was a fascinating and really interactive game, so even though it was more setup than I was looking for, I definitely bought it. I'm hoping that Verblue and I could play it on stream sometime. Then I played Fire Tower, a competitive game where you're trying to not let your tower catch on fire while going after everyone else. It's by Runaway Parade. I also bought a Blockbuster game from Big Potato Games. Their booth was set up to look like the inside of a Blockbuster, and the game was relatively simple and charades based, but it was only $20, and I am a huge fan of Big Potato Games now. Their games are simple and perfect for parties. And that was most of my Friday at the con. After I was done wandering around and just trying some different things out, I went back home and I just hung out with my friends. I knew Saturday was going to be packed. Saturday is always my least favorite day at any con because it's so busy, but also the most fun things usually happen on Saturday. So I went to the convention early and tried to stay out of the dealer's room as much as I could. Instead, I started at the Diversity Lounge, where I participated in the PAX Unplugged Pokemon League. I hadn't played the Pokemon trading card game in forever, but I did that, and I played Pokemon Guess Who, which was so cute and silly. And I ended up winning a prize at the PAX Pokemon League Sopple Squad. After that, I checked out a few panels, and I just kind of wandered around before I went to lunch. For lunch, I went to the Reading Terminal Market, which is an open-air market with lots of different food vendors right across the street from the convention center. I got a fancy corn dog and cheese curds at Fox & Sons, and then I went over to Flying Monkey Bakery. At the Flying Monkey Bakery, I got a whoopie pie that was chocolatey and fluffy, and it was just perfect. And I also got a slice of pumple cake. And pumple cake is a layered cake that has apple pie inside vanilla cake on the top and pumpkin pie inside chocolate cake on the bottom. I left just before the market got packed, and I found a corner in the convention to relax, admire my new Pokemon gym badges, and eat my food. The food from Fox & Sons was honestly just what I expected, a fancy corn dog and cheese curds, and it was good, and it made my tummy full, and it was just what I needed. The stuff from Flying Monkey Bakery, though, was incredible. It was so good, it was so rich, and I have no regrets about that crazy pumple cake because I loved it. After lunch, I went back to the con floor. I wish I had spent more time in the Unplugged room, which is full of new games that are seeking feedback and playtesters. After that, I kind of broke my promise to myself and I went into the dealer's room for a little bit. I was so overwhelmed by it all, and I realized I just needed to take a total break from the convention center. PAX is great because they have a AFK room, which is just a room where you can go to be away from it all and just take a break. I did some coloring and I laid down, and I just felt so much better after about an hour in the room. I went back out into the con floor because I didn't hate people anymore, I was fine, and I stopped by the Greater Than Games booth where I played Medium, a word association party game that is just like the classic improv game Mind Meld. I didn't buy this game, but it was still a lot of fun, and I was happy to see a game that encouraged others to play improv and connect with one another. Okay, but my favorite game of the weekend was Inhuman Conditions. It's a game inspired by the Blade Runner test, where an interrogator has to figure out if the other player is a human or a robot. It's free to print and play, but I'm definitely buying the box set. I finished up my night by buying cookies from the Cookie Brigade, an organization that wanders around PAX, giving cookies to attendees and collecting money for charity. I always buy at least a few cookies from the Cookie Brigade to support them. And I finished out my night by going to dinner with friends at a dim sum place in Chinatown, and then coming back to watch improv comedy panels like the Improvised Post-Mortem by Pat Bear and Magic the Gathering The Show by Improv Boston. One of the things that I love about conventions is when they have entertainment panels like these two events. So I had to go and watch them, and both were so incredibly good. I'm really glad I went to PAX Unplugged. It really reminded me of Gen Con when I went years and years ago, and now I really want to go again. It was a lot of fun. If you'd like to hear more about the specific culture of a PAX convention, or about the games I played, or if you want to see more con vlogs in the future, let me know. See you next time.